This is a Christian Marriage Academy broadcast where we explore the depths of love and commitment in the context of Christian faith. The content you're about to receive is non-copyrighted material. You're allowed to share and spread the knowledge and empower others on their journey to build strong, Christ-centered marriages. And now, stay tuned for your host, Seth The Teacher.
Hey, greetings to you lovely people. My name is Seth, and I welcome you to our topic of discussion for today, titled, Christianity Creates the Best Marriage. Now, all my previous topics of discussions have specifically focused on marriage. But after this topic, I'll begin to expand the scope of my topics a bit into more broader areas of discussions, which encompasses around areas like understanding love, understanding dating, courtship, dealing with singleness, and understanding male and female character dynamics, and also knowledge of spiritual realities like spiritual marriages, that is, we call it spirit spouses, spiritual forces and influence that affect a person's relationship and marital future. I'll also be giving general life advices that will help you strategize towards getting a spouse and not dying alone. I will also be taking personal questions which I will use the answer as special topics of discussion. That is, if the person gives me the permission to do so. This and many more will be coming your way soon. And I'll be doing all these even before I start going live. And after a couple of months to about, let's say, a year, I'll widen my lectures even further from the world of relationship, marriage, family, and all that, and into other important areas like Christian faith, theology and Bible study, general life counseling and mentorship, health and science teaching, business coaching, family life and child raising, and also one area which is very dear to my heart, that is conspiracy research, which many people call conspiracy theory, which are not just theories at all, but yeah, that too is an area of expertise of mine that I will be teaching a lot about. And by that time, I wouldn't be just delivering online like this, but I'll be more of lecturing physically in conferences. I'll be organizing in different countries in Africa and around the world. So it's going to be very interesting, that I can guarantee. And so that's the little notification I want to give you concerning future plans. Now, let's dive into today's topic. Okay, so Christianity creates the best marriage. What am I talking about by this statement? What I'm talking about by this statement here is referring to the basis of marriage. The basis of marriage. That is, basis here means the foundation or the reasoning behind something. This is because everything we do in life, every activity we perform, has its basis. Example, you don't go to school and spend all that money on tuition for nothing, but you do that on the basis of thought that it will help you get a better chance at succeeding in life. Marriage too is similar. For a person to see another and have the desire and interest to bring that person into their lives for marriage, then you can be sure that that decision was motivated by reason or basis of thought. And so in this discussion, I'm treating Christianity or the Christian path of life as a basis for marriage, amongst several other bases upon which many people stand to choose their mates in life. Now, to explain my point better, what are some other bases which people use to choose their mates? This includes 1. The need for children. which many people are a bit familiar with this example because especially when it comes to the older men, they often advise the younger men that, hey, listen, you see, I made a mistake of not having children early. You see, that's why I have all these kids surrounding me, making noise in my ear at this age of my life. So please listen, don't make my mistake. Marry early, get a wife, and just start making kids early, because you can be a pensioner. In your pension, this is where you are coming to take care of children. So get a wife early and start making babies. You see, so this is a motivation for a person to get married. That is just to start having kids early. Yeah. And so with our ladies, when they grow and reach a certain point in their lives, they say that at this point, I'm getting old. I have to just get pregnant and have my baby. And so when such a lady is looking for a husband, you can be assured that she's operating by the basis of getting pregnant and having children. Yeah. And so too, financial liberation. Financial liberation too can be a basis on which people stand to find a husband. Example, single ladies. You see, when they are living alone and they have all those bills on them, the renting bills, the water bills and all these things, you see them, they get to a point where they get very sad and they are like, no, I just need a man in my life to pick up part of my financial burden off from me. And it becomes a huge basis on which they are looking for a husband. And also, when they come to the United States, there's something called tax reliefs, which is a special tax subsidy for married couples. So it's also a huge motivation. There's a reduction in taxes specifically for married couples. So that too is a very huge basis on which people marry. People just marry just to have a reduction in their taxes. Yeah. So social expectation, that is 3. Social expectation 2 is a basis on which some people marry. It's like they get to a point in their lives and they are expected that, my friend, at this age, you are supposed to marry you. So what are you doing? And everywhere you go, especially in your churches, you see when the pastor is talking about bachelors, they begin to look at your face. Or let's say single ladies, they begin to look at your face. You see, everybody will be talking about you. Your family will be on your neck. You are growing, you are growing here and there. So social expectations also becomes a basis on which people stand and look for a spouse. And also beauty. That is the 4th point, beauty. For all you may not know, beauty is one of the biggest bases on which people stand to choose their spouses. And it may surprise you, the majority of people marry because their spouses look good, especially with the men. They see a girl and they are like, wow, this girl is so beautiful, I have to marry her. And it's the majority of men do that. And in the long run, the beauty of their spouses now become worthless when they start giving them hell in the marriage. So yeah, these are few points that talks about the basis on which people stand, or the premise that makes people to choose their spouses. But now, the basis I'm discussing here is none of these things, but the basis is deciding to marry a person because of their genuineness of their Christianity and their level of passion for the Christian way of life. And not just marrying them, but marrying them to apply the principles of the Christian faith within that marriage. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what I'm saying leads to the best form of marriage. Now, guys, let me ask you these questions. This is very important. Where is it written in our society that your wife or your husband shouldn't sleep with any other person apart from you? Where? The court document you sign doesn't say anything about that. No. It only talks about how the government recognizes your marriage as being legal. That's all. And in some states or countries, it might talk about the distribution of properties in the case of divorce or death. But it's rare to find a documented marital law that talks about adultery. Sure, I'm aware that some states in the US have adultery laws. But look, adultery law only applies when you get caught. What about if your spouse starts hanging out late with friends, back and forth, and you definitely know that they are doing things outside, but you have no evidence? Would the law help you deal with such a spouse? No. And now let me ask you, where is it written in our society that it is compulsory for your wife or husband to even have sex with you and not deprive their bodies from you? Nowhere. And where is it written in the law that your husband or your wife is supposed to love you in the first place? Can you sue your wife or husband for not loving you or showing you affection? No. Or can you sue your husband if he doesn't eat your food or if he doesn't like staying home? No. What about if your wife tells you one day, hey John, my work is getting too stressful, so I've made the decision to stop cooking in this house so that I focus on working to bring money home. Now, can you take her to court? No. Maybe some of you might say, oh, I'll report her to the family elders. Go ahead. But the thing is, what family law is that elder going to use against her to force her to start cooking in the house? None. All he can do is simply advise her, and it will still come back to whether she feels like doing that or not. But what if, say, your husband doesn't talk to you anymore, and you ask them, hey, why is it that for the past couple of months you've never spoken a word to me? Do you plan on divorcing me? But your husband tells you, oh nah, I don't plan on divorcing you, but it's just that you are not too smart to hold the kind of conversations I like to have. So I decided to stop talking to you, that's all. We can stay married and exchange highs and good mornings and all that, but that's as far as it will ever go. Guys, I'm asking you, can you pick a phone and report him to the police? No. Well, if he beats you, you can report him to the police and get him jailed. But what if he doesn't beat you, as in lay his hands on you, but he verbally abuses you and insults you? What about that? Does the law cover that? Nope. Guys, what's my point here? The point I'm trying to make is that marriage is a highly unregulated, individualistic institution which is run purely based on how the individuals in it feel like running it. There is incredibly very few to almost no set of legal rules that are put in place to regulate the behavior of your partner so that they treat you right and make you happy. No. And this makes marriage a very volatile and highly risky endeavor to undertake with just your mind. However, guys, luckily for you and I, we have something called Christianity. You see, Christianity consists extensively of governing principles and commandments that control and regulate the behavior of its believers. Unfortunately, Christianity has elaborate and precise sets of commandments on how husbands and wives are supposed to treat each other to ensure maximum peace and happiness and marital security. And by choosing your spouse based on the genuineness of their Christian faith and their loyalty towards its practice, you can be assured of a positive outcome in your marriage. And for anything outside this, you are only marrying and hoping that your spouse will be reasonable and considerate enough to deal with you in a favorable way. And so, if you marry and your husband is ungodly and happens to be quick-tempered, you are only going to hope that he is considerate enough to never slap you or punch you in the face one day. And if your wife is ungodly and suddenly develops less attraction for you, you can only hope that she is thoughtful enough of you to turn down the advances of that rich handsome guy in her DM. Yeah. And also that husband of yours gone on that business trip, lodging in hotels, you can only hope that he respects his marital vows enough to drive away those hot chicks and hookers walking from door to door. I know at this point someone might be saying, sir, but some Christians even marry and do worse. Some Christians marry and they even treat their spouses even more awful than how worldly people do. Well, I have an answer for that, and here it goes. A man or a woman who professes to be a Christian and who have read all the commandments stated in the Bible about love and how Christians are supposed to not just treat their spouses but their fellow human beings, and yet refuses to do them, calling such a person a Christian is like calling everybody entering a hospital a doctor. It's also like calling everybody entering a school a student. It's like calling everybody holding a spanner a mechanic. It's like calling everybody holding a screwdriver an electrician. You don't do that. Not everybody entering a church or holding a Bible can be called a Christian. God doesn't even do that. Why do you think Jesus said that not everybody calling me Lord, Lord shall enter the kingdom? And many shall say to me that day, oh Lord, I've been a Christian all my life. But Jesus will say, go away, I never knew you. You called yourself a Christian, and many people thought you were a Christian. Even your wife thought you were a Christian, and that's why she married you. But yet, only I knew who you truly are. That is, a practitioner of iniquity. You see, so if Jesus doesn't call the man maltreating his wife a Christian, why should you call him a Christian and say, oh, I know a Christian, in quotes, a Christian who maltreats his wife? No, that person is not a Christian. You see, by their fruit you shall know the sons of God and the sons of the wicked, the evil one. That man or that woman cheating on their spouses is many things, but a Christian is not one of them. And that's not who my message is about. Who I'm talking about is the Christian who genuinely, out of the desires of their own heart, strives and beats their flesh to do what is pleasing to God in order to make it to heaven. Such a person is the one whom you can be sure to hand over your heart for marriage. And so when such a one steps outside of the home, or even goes on a business trip where you are nowhere close to him and will never know what he is doing, when he's there alone, he knows that he is not away from God's watch. Because listen, your husband can be so far away from you that no matter what he does, unless he himself comes to tell you, there will absolutely be no way on earth you will ever know what he did. So now, in such a situation, ask yourself, what will keep him from doing what he genuinely feels like doing? Which, if he does, he knows you will never know. Is it his love for you that will keep him from doing that? No. Because many people love their car and still want to have another one. You can be wearing your favorite shoe that you love the most, but still see another one in town and buy it. That doesn't mean you stopped loving your old shoe. No, you just saw another one that you felt attracted to and you want to get it and still keep the old one. That's how human beings work. We can love multiple things at the same time. And so you love iPhone, but when someone gives you a free Samsung Galaxy, will you throw it away because of your love for iPhones? No. And so the love your husband has for you doesn't cut off his affection for other women like you. And so in that peculiar situation, your husband's love will never be able to oppose his craving instincts. You see, love is just not strong enough to do that. And so what else can override his sexual instincts in this situation? His respect for you? No. Respect is a weaker form of love. You can respect your boss way up to the moon. But when a better job offer comes from a different company, will you stay because of the respect that you have for your boss? Nope. Respect is a very weaker version of love. What love can't even do, respect sees and it run away. So in this situation, your husband's respect for you has nothing to do with what he feels like doing with his thing. He will do it and even buy flowers on his way home for you. Honey, I'm home. I bought you a gift. Yeah. And so in a situation where no eyes are there to watch a person, the only thing strong enough to keep that person from exploring his desires is the fear of God in him and nothing else. Why? Because he knows he can never run from the watchful eyes of God. And if he does, there is a handsome punishment waiting for him. His fear of God is his wife's only source of security. Same thing applies to wives. She can get approached by a top tier man far away from her husband. She has the liberty to hand over her number to that strange man. After all, it's just my number, right? It probably won't progress to anywhere, but she knows deep in her heart that she's gradually opening the door to adultery. This man clearly doesn't want to be just a friend. He's pushing for something more, and she knows where it's going. Oh, she knows. She's very old enough to know. It's not her first time. Yeah. So now I ask you, will her love or respect for you stop her from tolerating the new man? Nope. Because at this point you are probably doing something that she doesn't like, and this new guy feels like a blessing and relief from you, the annoying husband. And we know that women's loyalty and faithfulness are mostly linked to how you make them feel. And so if at this moment of temptation the marriage happens to be suffering from some sort of challenges and unpleasant treatment, what will be her biggest motivation to keep staying in the marriage despite the unhappy situation in it? What will be her biggest motivation to turn down the advances of that new man always calling her and, in quote, checking up on her and wanting to see her all the time? It's her fear of God. It's a fear of God and knowing that adultery is a sin and therefore should be avoided no matter what. That is going to keep her from exploring. Not a respect, love, or fear for her husband. No. And so I encourage you to choose a spouse who, as I said, is genuinely pursuing and applying the Christian faith in their daily lives. Not a godless person who regards no higher being as authority over their lives. Well, such people may show some form of morality and some good conduct, but their personal principles are often going to be compromised and overcome by their personal desires and the flaws in their character. And so for you ladies, as the ones who are expected to submit in marriages, for you it should be your number one priority to only submit to the man who has also submitted to the authority of God. Else your submission is shaky. It is in the wrong hands, and it's just a matter of time before he starts to treat your submission as conquer. And so guys, this is getting too long. I'm going to continue in part 2 real quick. In the part 2, I'm going to focus on the Bible passages that talks about how Christian husbands and wives are supposed to treat each other in their marriage. And these form the basis of what I'm talking about: Christianity creating the best marriage. So guys, catch you there. Thank you.